Octavia, Living Thesis. 8 mana, a blue for legendary creature, elemental octopi. This spell costs 8 less if you have 8 or more instant sorceries in your graveyard. Ward 8, Magecraft, whenever you cast a copy of sorcery. Has creatures base power toughness 8/8 until end of turn 8/8. Jeez, how many 8s can they put on a card? This costs 8 less, so it could be a 2 mana 8/8 if you really want it to be. You play this like an aggro EDH deck. What kind of aggro EDH deck has that sort of instant sorcery in their like graveyard to cast this early though? Like I imagine you like play this and you want to play like a bunch of 1/1 flyers that turn into like big beefy 8/8s, but maybe a bunch of cantrips. 8 is a kind of a tall order unless you're milling yourself. But I mean, I'm glad they could put a bunch of 8s on a card. Octavia. Hey, it's got even Oct in the name. Gee, where's there no 8 at? Elemental? Was that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty sure there's some word in there that's just 8. It's a fine card. I don't think you want to play this, to be honest, so as your commander, unless you're playing like some super, I don't know, battle cruiser commander. Not too interested, from my opinion. But I guess it'd be neat. It has ward 8, so you're like, odds of them actually targeting it and destroying it pretty low. Definitely dying by a ward wipe. Which is neat too, because ward makes it look like it's camouflage, as in you can't touch it. It's kind of like hexproof. And it's like very obvious because in the picture it looks like it's a, it's a see-through. Can't really see it. It's neat. I think it's a nice little touch. Then we have Sly Instigator, 3 and a blue for a creature, human wizard. Tap for blue until your next turn. Creature no opponent controls can't be blocked. Goad that creature 2/4. What kind of deck wants that? Some deck where like a creature dealing damage like is crazy. I guess it could be like a Eldrazi, but what Eldrazi wants to deal damage like that? They just care about attacks for those spooky ones. It's good for like the Sphinx that we saw earlier. It was the Dazzling Sphinx. It's probably good for that. Because it has to deal combat damage. So your next turn, target creature and opponent. Oh, it's only when creature opponent controls. Sheesh, this is not looking too good. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know about this one. This one seems kind of wonky to me. So it has to be a creature an opponent controls. So it means you're only playing this as a weird removal spell, or even like a weird, I don't want to say goblin goater type of card, because obviously not a goblin, it's a human, but like combat forcer, which I think the combat colors, there's like, what's it called? That spider, I forgot what it's called. Thantis, which is in Rakdos or Jund that does it. So this is like kind of weird to have, to be honest. I don't know why Blue would want this, but this is neat. This is nice to have, especially for like more aggro based blue decks that really want damage to be like spread out. It kind of goes hand in hand with Octavia though. If you're going for like the aggro route, still don't know how Octavia is getting cast for 2 mana. Some way. I guess late game Octavia. I don't know. Next up, we have Creative Technique, 4 and a red with Demonstrate. Shuffle your library, then reveal cards on top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Exile that card, put the rest of the bottom library in order. You may cast exile card that paints mana cost. Okay, let's be honest. This compared to the white one, the white one actually has like the better one. This is just draw 2 cards and cast them for free. It does require you to have like a moderately costed deck, so that way you get value out of it. 5 mana, draw 2? Is that worth it? I don't think so. Like, I'd rather you not cast a spell for free. Or I'd rather you get mana than get a spell for free. So this is interesting. Interesting route. I don't know about this one, though. Don't know. Maybe only mono red? Even then, it's like we already have a bunch of Outpost Siege variants. This seems kind of lackluster. Like, even though the Outpost Siege variants come down earlier, and so by the time you get value out of those ones, it's more often than not that you're going to be able to like get value out of those already. Even if this is like right then and there giving you value, those cards will give you value by the time you get this card out. But of course, if you want density, that could be a thing. Then we have Fiery Encore, 4 and a red. Sorcery, discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard an online card this way, Fiery Encore deals damage equal to that card's mana value to dark creature or planeswalker storm. Discard, then draw a card. Okay, so you keep parity, kind of. Of course, casting the spell makes you lose one card. But I think this would be totally fine if this was like any target. It'd be better, of course, but I think like this is already too low of a power level. Because it has... no, it's probably fine, right? I don't know how crazy people are with storming off. Like, it's obligatory draw a card, discard a card, so not getting infinite copies unless they're going to deck themselves. But then it's also in the same vein, like, how many creatures are out there where you want to destroy all the creatures with your stormed mana? Okay, this does enable a lot of the magecraft stuff, which might be the primary focus. But is 4 mana though? You can filter through a lot of your cards if that's what it's worth. Which might be a reason to play this. You discard a card and draw a card. Like, okay, you cast this once, 4 mana, discard a card, draw a card. That's not even worth a mana for that effect. If you discard a 3 mana card, that's a bolt, so 1 mana. If you discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards with this effect, that's about a Faithless Looting. A little worse because you discard first. That's about a single mana. So I think dealing 2 damage, aka about 2 bolts. So having 2 storm triggers, that is the original, and another one, that's about 3 mana worth. And so if you could get... Wow, so that's like 4 cards to get your mana worth. About, I think, based on my perfect calculations. I think it's not worth it most of the time. I don't know what kind of crazy storm deck wants it, but not worth it. Okay, got a few more left. We got Radiant Performer, 3 in a red, creature, human, wizard, flash. When Radiant Performer enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, choose target spell or ability that targets only in a single permanent or player. Copy that spell or ability each other permanent or player the spell or ability could target. Each opponent targets a different one. Each copy targets a different one for those permanents and the players. 2/2. Geez, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. 5 mana, is that worth it? ETB, have to cast it from your hand. So you're playing this turn 5 from your hand. What kind of crazy cards are going to be wanting this? Crazy decks. On the flip side, any sort of strip mine effect would be like an Armageddon, which is cool. Because its abilities, that's kind of dope. A single permanent or player. The spell has to target a permanent or player. If you're playing a strip mine, it targets a land, which is a permanent. So it has to copy that spell for each other permanent on the battlefield that it can target, aka lands. I was gonna say planes, but lands. That's just nasty. Okay, if you're not doing that though, what are you doing with this? This could be like a win con in that sense if you have like enough lands in the battlefield to like supplement your or you have enough. If you can destroy all the lands and then also have a like an actual investment on the board, this could be a game ender, which is neat in red. If you don't, what could this be? Could this be like a defensive spell? What if it's like a counter spell? Someone counters your counter something you have. You play this. Ooh, it plays out like Whirlwind of Denial for each. No, because it's a spell. Because it chooses a target spell or ability that targets a single permanent or player. Has target a permanent or player. Okay. It can counter a win from like particular storm cards, but also it stops Aetherflux Reservoir. That's cool. Someone can Aetherflux Reservoir you. Wait. Someone Aetherflux Reservoirs you, and then you play this. Because each other player or permanent, so then you just win. That's neat. That's neat. What else do you do with this? So you can do like the land thing, Aetherflux Reservoir counter. That's basically it. Like a few other things don't really work. But it's fine for a red. I don't know what kind of deck wants this, but this is probably more of a mid-powered card, unfortunately. I think it doesn't have too much proactivity where it can like warrant or even like CMC wise for it to be like worth playing in high power. It's fine. It's really fun looking. This is definitely a cool card. Cool beans. Ruin a Fire Dancer. At the beginning of your combat, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is the number of instant sorceries you've cast this turn. They gain haste, X on the next step. That could be fun. Kind of slow though, no haste. I can see why that could be a problem though. I don't know. This one, I'm not feeling this one. I don't think this one's too particularly crazy. It could be fun though, for aggro. Gosh, a lot of these could be like statted a little better, and they still wouldn't even see aggro play. Like Viren, even they could be statted better, and they probably wouldn't see much to play. Like Give It Flying, probably wouldn't see play. They could make these aggro decks, aggro commanders a little better. There's Rousing Refrain, 3 to red add red to each card. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end, exile it, and then it suspends itself again. So you could net mana if they have 7 or even 6. For 5, is it worth it? In red, the amount of ramp that they have, this is probably not too bad. I think the most red can get from a ramp is like 2 up in pips. So if 7 is like the usual, like if someone has 7, it's probably worth it. If someone has less, I mean, you definitely play this even if like you run neutral, if you net 0 on this, just because you get it in suspension and exile. But how often are you going to get more than 7? I guess the next time you cast it, it doesn't matter because you're just getting mana. I feel like most of the time you're probably not going to... If you're playing mono red, you're probably going to have a lot less cards in hand usually. Actually, it doesn't even matter how many cards you have in hand compared to them. They just have to have more cards. They have to have cards. So if there's... Okay, on that thought, I think it's not too crazy to play this card. Because it's not dependent on your hand, it's dependent on someone else's hand. And of course, there's always that one greedy guy who's playing just like some greedy Rhystic Study or, you know, something like that. Mystic Grimoire. I think this card is actually fine though. High power blow, I'm thinking. Just because like the immediacy of the effect. Like this is pretty decent, I think. This is pretty dope. What kind of deck? Maybe... I feel like every one of these are like a Mizzix decks because the CMC is just so high. But I think you play this in like non-Mizzix decks, like that'd be fine. You can play this earlier than the blue one for 2 red. You can get it out early, so on turn 5, you can get it out, which is when you'd usually cast it. And you just cast it for free then. So you can like wait for a hefty play on turn 5 when you really need a lot of mana for like say Reverberate a counter spell later and then have some trick up your sleeve for like a crazy big play. That'd be cool. Yeah, this card's dope. Dope card. I'd play that, yeah. High power below. Surge of Victory. Jeez. 6 mana. Idle target story card from your graveyard. Creature you control get +X. Whenever creature control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy that exiled card. Ooh. That's actually better than I thought. I mean, not playable necessarily, but like that's a cool effect. Like you hit the home run and you just show off at that point. That's cool. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy the exiled card. So copy what you exiled. Or are you exiling with this? Maybe you exile like Inspiring Refrain or Fiery Encore. You just dump a lot in your graveyard. These are some dope cards to have like in your graveyard with this. Come to think of it, they have the Radiant Flame Wielder, Scroll Wielder in the main set. Have that cast with this. No, because then most of the time you're not gonna have a high enough storm count for that to matter. What about Inspiring Refrain? Ooh, if you do use the Flame, I forgot, the Boros Wildfire Devil. If you can cast that with like Inspiring Refrain or the Rousing Refrain, it just goes straight into exile again, and you'll have to exile the actual card. That's kind of dope. Not that it'll come up too often, but yeah, this card's neat. This is a neat card. It's very cute. I don't think you'll see play, but it's a very cool card. Maybe in Battlecruiser. Next up, we have what I've heard to be like a budget mana drain. 2 in a red and a blue, reinterpret. Counter target spell, you may cast a spell with an equal or less mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. I think this will see play. This is a decent card. Probably high power and below. Like, you can wait for someone to cast their beefy spell. It's like a mana drain, right? You counter it and you can play whatever they were going to play at that mana value or less for free. That's decent. With just a little added flair, your work could be truly spectacular. Let me show you. All right, that's it. That's all the cards for the day. What do you guys think about these cards? Are they good? Are they not? What do you think? Tell me what you think. But we'll end it there. Peace out. I will say the cards I'm looking forward to are the Radiant Performer, Rousing Refrain, and I think that's it. I'm not quite sure if the other cards are too. I guess Reinterpret.